Oh. Welcome, everybody, to the wonderful world of the Professional Mindset series. I am joined today by Dr. Anil Yasin Ar. He received his Ph.D. in International Business and a Master of Science in Organizational Leadership from Southern New Hampshire University. He holds a Bachelor of Science in Economics from TOBB Economy and Technology University in Ankara, Turkey. He's currently a professor at Tecnologico de Monterrey, Queretaro Campus. He is known for his research on emerging market multinationals, business strategy, and management. His recent scholarly, excuse me, people, I can't speak today. It's one of those days. His recent scholarly work includes, but is not limited to, government ICT-based cross-sectoral collaboration strategy for financial support of low-income families during the COVID-19 pandemic. How I just got through that, I'll never know, but I did. And corporate social responsibility chapter in the Palgrave Encyclopedia of Interest Groups, Lobbying, and Public Affairs. Anil, thank you so much for joining me today. I cannot wait to have this conversation with you. So thank you. I enjoy it. Economics, huh?
Oh, I know. First of all, it is my pleasure to be here. Thank
Yes.
you so much for inviting me.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, economics definitely was a journey and it still is going on. But it can be tricky, definitely.
Yes, yes. And I tell you, I'm glad we have this time to talk about mindset because, again, you have to have a great mindset to deal with economics. That can be very, very fun. So, no, thank you again for joining me. As many of our viewers know, we're going to talk a little bit about the professional mindset today. And of course, you know, I like to, as I'm talking to individuals, let them know, again, there's no right or wrong answer. This has to do with what you believe it to be and what you've experienced over life. And so why don't we start and you just talk to me about what is your definition of a professional mindset?
That's a great start to talk from because, as you stated, everybody has a different perception about what it can be or what it could be.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just going to provide my perspective, and hopefully, it is going to resonate with our listeners and people who are going to see this podcast. So, in my opinion, it is a state of mind where a person is not only observing what is the state of affairs, what they are dealing with,
Mm-hmm.
but also where they would like to be based on that state. For instance, majority of the time when we are talking, people give the classic example, right? They show a glass half full and half empty, and they ask to others saying that, what do you think?
Mm-hmm.
And I believe some people will choose, of course, optimistic view saying that half full, or pessimistic, half empty.
Mm-hmm.
But there is the third one, and I think that is the professional mindset, which says, okay, this glass half full and half empty, and what would you like me to do with that information? What
Mm.
can I do with it? So I think that is the very beginning of the professional mindset, understanding the current events to see how it can play for our goals and
Mm-hmm.
for our development as a society.
Yeah, that's a wonderful way to look at it. I appreciate that. You know, I know offline here I've shared before, and I won't bore everybody with my story again because I do it every time. But we talked about that, and that was a great analogy because now I can take a look back at it and say, ah, that's how I was able to do it. That's really cool. Thank you for that. And of course, I'm looking at the thing, the strategy you were just talking about with COVID and what you've been working on. And my gosh, is that a wonderful example of how mindset plays a very important part, right? And how they approach life. And I we've all been affected by it,
Oh, definitely. Yes, I
right?
agree. Yeah.
And and maybe we can talk about this a little bit further down the line, but even if we don't get into our questions, I'd love to learn a little bit more about some of the strategies and things you found from this scholarly work that you've done. So I can't wait to talk a little bit more about that. But tell me a little before we go into that down the line,
Sounds good.
how has a professional mindset, how has it played a part in your career for you?
I think that's the cornerstone of my really progress throughout my career.
Hmm.
The reason is people start seeing everything either as an opportunity or they regard as maybe not desirable action to take.
Hmm.
However, professional mindsets, the way that I look at it at least, dictate that events by themselves are not positive or negative. They are by themselves just a happening, and what you can make out of them belongs to you. And
Hmm.
how can you take advantage of those happenings to build yourself from that point on? So that in my career I start to explore more networks, talking with more people, and actually it's takes me from Turkey to United States and United States to Mexico. And it
Hmm.
was a great journey because I started seeing that what can I do with this mindset and what can I learn from others? Not only what can I do by myself, but how
Hmm.
can we really create a value for everyone? So it was I believe, the professional mindset. How can I go from point A to point B with helping others and creating benefit to all?
That was wonderful. Thank you. I love it. I love it. And did you ever, have those hiccups, especially coming from Turkey, and then US and then to Mexico? Do you have any examples that you can think of that would be really cool for the individuals kind of listening in to show how you were able to make it happen, I guess you could say?
Oh, definitely. And it is actually a great point as well, because the way that we navigate our ways, meaning that
Hmm.
our lives, completely different in one country to another.
Hmm.
How you see things are completely different. For example, when I first received my opportunity to teach in the United States,
Hmm.
one of the things that I received as a person is adjunct title. And for many, it was a horrible, horrible thing. They are like, oh no, we didn't get the full-time job. We didn't get this. We didn't. But my way of looking at it, my professional mindset, there's a beginning. There
Hmm.
is something. Here is a journey. Take that opportunity.
Yeah.
And when I stick with it, I met so many people that can help me and so
Yes.
many people that I can help. We grow as a community as a result.
Mhm.
So we start looking, instead of I start looking, we start looking things. Okay, these are happening around us, and how can we shape them in the way to involve more people and carry them to success in their own terms and own ways. So it was,
Mm.
I believe, one of the things that I am very thankful to be aware of, professional mindset.
That is so wonderful. And so let's go ahead and talk about you talked about the we, the community, which is I think one of the most important components, right? Why do you think that the professional mindset is so important for people to use in their daily life?
Because our daily life should be at least balanced,
Hmm.
and all the events, one way or the other, not always go the way that we expect them to be. And the professional mindset um, just comes into play at that moment, saying that,
Hmm.
okay, one thing may not be going at the same pace that you planned, or the way that you planned. However, it shouldn't be affecting other walks of life. You still have different things going on, and you should be able to channel your discipline and progress on the other things without sacrificing this thing. Maybe it is not the right moment. Maybe you are going to come back to this and progress on that regard as well. But just for now, focus on different things and carry on your progress in the way that possible. So it
Mhm.
is the way how to balance the life and how to create a very sane, even I will say very stoic way of living, so that
Yeah.
you are going to have hopefully more opportunities and you will explore more things.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very interesting you say that because I'm obviously I'm a thinker. I
Love
know
it.
people don't believe that listening to the show, but I am. And so one of the things I often have had to work on is not trying to plan out the future so much, right? Because I think that what we do, if I'm understanding what you're saying, when we, let's say, plan the next year of our life, or we try to multitask, right? I even break it down further and say, all right, we're going to multitask today and I'm going to get X, Y, and Z done today, right? Does it always happen? No. Now, I would say with an old me, as soon as I didn't get one of those things on that list done, my day was ruined
Oh,
until
indeed.
I
That's
started to find the mindset. Or I would do that lovely thing we call multitasking, right? That everybody thinks they can do. And I
how
said, you know what? I'm going to do X for right now. I'm going to do Y for a little bit and then Z. And then by the end of the day, I still haven't accomplished anything because why? I didn't focus. You just said it. You got to focus on what was the positive, right? What can you get done? So I guess where I'm going with that, because that was probably a lot of rambling, is that stop trying to multitask and maybe focus a little bit on what's at hand. Don't look too far ahead, or you're going to set yourself up for, I don't want to say the word failure, but maybe becoming frustrated and not
I,
looking at it,
I
right?
completely agree. Indeed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because in especially modern society, I start to feel like we forget what does 100% giving yourself into one thing.
Hmm.
And we start just doing like 50% of something else is just taking 40%, and the 10% we even do not have sometimes an idea what to do with it.
Hmm.
And at the end of the day, we are really lost in the complexity of the life, and we didn't
Hmm.
really get anything accomplished, and we start postponing what we have to do.
Yeah.
And that's where I think the professionalism and the mindset of what we need to do comes into play and creates the professional mindset. What
Hmm.
am I going to do? What am I supposed to channel my energy? Because we have only so much energy in a given day,
Yes.
and we are
Yes.
trying to manage it the best way possible. But what is that best way possible? It should be determined by us before we start taking an action. So
Yeah.
it needs to be very focused, very oriented, and should be served to a greater good.
Wow. Thank you. Very wise words. Very
Oh
wise
no, thank
words. Yeah.
you.
No, again, that's why I love this series, because we get to just talk. We get to converse.
I love
And when
it.
somebody gets something from it, it makes me feel even better. I always think back to a book, and you might be familiar with it, The Four Disciplines of Execution.
Oh, lovely.
Um, yeah, it's a great book because, I think we could have 20 pages of things we've got to do in our world, right?
Indeed.
For just one place, not even considering our home life.
Oh yeah, probably all of us.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe. Yeah.
And, one of the things I finally learned by focusing on the mindset is to say, I'm only going to give myself two things to do today. Those are my area of focus. And, if I can't get to that third one, or let's say I write 3 down and I can only get to 2 of them, that's okay because I did accomplish something. It's the positivity you started all this with when we started the discussion. It's the little wins, right? And forget about the whirlwinds because those are going to go on throughout the day, right? The things that get us off task, right? So, no, I think this is wonderful. So, how do you think working in different institutions in different settings provides a person a professional benefit or any kind of professional benefit?
Oh, that's a great question, because the more people you see, the more rules you are exposing yourself. I see them as they are restrictions, but creative restrictions.
Mm-hmm.
You need to mature over them and learn how to navigate in different environments.
Mm-hmm.
And these are actually giving you some clues about yourself, because actually you learn about what you can do at a given time,
Mm-hmm.
so that you can create your goals clearer and you can
Mm,
actually realize them in the long run at a better pace, as well as in a more constructive way.
mm-hmm.
So it gives you that maturity of the mindset that you can start to analyze things differently. And even though it might sound very simple, it teaches you how to take one single event by itself and seeing that event as a new path, not necessarily just another domino stone or domino right by itself that is going to be knocked down. It is
Mm-hmm.
going to be a journey, a starting point. So it gives you a different experience. I think it is why having exposure to different institutions, different people, and different places are very important.
And that's interesting you say that because I feel like even one step further, like right now, I am doing the whole wearing many hats,
Oh, yes.
right?
Yeah.
And I joke with people and say, okay, I got to put this hat on right now, or I got to put this hat on right now. I feel like sometimes we don't give ourselves enough credit to say, let's take a break from the computer. Let's take a break from this hat, get
Indeed.
our mind in the right place. And if it takes us an extra 15 minutes to get into that hat mode, we can do it, right? And I think that kind of goes along with what you were saying. We've got to be okay with allowing ourselves that additional little bit of time to adjust.
And it is very important, because that switching time, as you mentioned, could be the crucial when you are starting the other role. It
Mhm.
might be the way that you make it or break it, because that time actually gives you to talk with yourself. Like those little words that you say to yourself is going
Mhm.
to influence how you take those challenges. So
Yeah.
that's very important. And I completely agree. Like many heads and many different things going on, and we
Yeah.
have to somehow adjust all of them.
Yeah. No, absolutely, absolutely. Now there is one thing you said that I would say if I followed that advice, I might be scared of myself, and that would be the conversations in my mind. Sometimes I'm a little scared of having those. Just a FYI, but as you get to know me more, you'll realize where I'm going with that. But anyway, what do you think is the worst? What's the worst enemy of a professional mindset?
I think the worst enemy of professional mindset is the perfectionism
Hmm.
and the fixed mindset.
Mm,
Basically, fixed mindset states that you only have whatever you are dealt with, whether it is your environment, whether it is your genes, but you only have such a certain composition, you cannot change anything.
hmm.
And the perfectionism can be a paralyzing effect as well. You just take the things in the certain way that if you cannot make it perfect, you are not going to do it. And
Hmm.
it's going to add more stress to your life. Then you realize that you are stop taking risk at all.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
without a risk, without little bit stress, but healthy stress,
Hmm.
it is not possible to grow up in the sense of ourselves, mindset, and our professional life. So
Yeah.
I these are the main killers. We need to be learning how to be okay, or at least equally distant to success and failure.
Mm-hmm.
And our
Yes.
societies, we are very close and like the idea of having success
Yeah.
without having any failures. And this creates the illusion that you can only be successful if you have everything done perfectly. And when
Yes.
we fail at one point, we always think that, okay, what is the setback? Am I going to be able to do the next step?
Mm-hmm.
And we stop trying. Well, some of us at least.
No. That's actually a very good point. And it takes me to that teacher mode, right?
Yes.
Or even back to the days when I was a student, because I feel like sometimes we build that into people. Doesn't sound like you do, but we build that into people that when you make a mistake, oh my goodness, it's the end of the world, right?
Exactly.
We have this tendency to, this is my perspective, anybody that's K through 12 in there out in this world listening, we focus too much on a test. And ultimately, what happens if we're building somebody to a test? What are we telling them? That you can't make a mistake. There's a definitive answer for everything, and there's not. Just like when we were talking about the mindset and the professional mindset, there's no true definition. If somebody wants to really define it, they'll find the definition for it. But is it right or wrong? That's the problem, right? But I guess the other place I'm going with that is we've kind of been designed as people to say you don't make mistakes in school versus it's okay to make a mistake, right? When you teach your students, do you teach them that it's okay to make a mistake?
Actually, I sometimes encourage them saying
Okay.
that, look, this is the time to make those mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
I am here to tell you when you make a mistake and not realize there is a better way to do, and
Mm-hmm.
you can improve it. I will provide you tools, and what you can build is maybe beyond me. But take those chances. I am like a diagnostic tool for you, literally, a maybe ruler. You just put me there and measure what you have.
Yeah.
If it measures up, that's great. If it is not, again, it is great. You learn something very
Mm-hmm.
valuable that a success may not teach you,
Yeah.
which is actually that there is something that you can improve. You are
Mm-hmm.
lacking. And this is a very important life lesson. And
Yeah.
I am not so sure, but like not many people know this person. Are you familiar with Marco Pierre White?
I am not. Please share.
Okay, so I believe that everybody can learn something from someone,
Mm-hmm.
right? And Marco Pierre White has literally completely opposite lifestyle in terms of academic versus work life
Mm-hmm.
to my background. Actually, he's a chef. He's
Oh
a
wow.
Michelin chef.
Yeah.
And, one of the interviews, people ask, would you give up all your failures? And he said that no, those failures make me realize who I am and help me to success in the life.
Yeah.
And that's a very brilliant answer, because if we do not have those failures, we are not going to be able to correct things or realize things that we need to work on.
Yeah.
And those are the opportunities.
Well, I'll tell you, thank goodness for people like him, because if I was a chef, oh my goodness gracious, I don't think I would ever want anybody eating my food. But anyway, that's okay. Yeah, you the same, right? Right.
Oh, definitely.
But you're making very excellent points, because as you and I were talking before the series, you've got your guitars behind you and you play guitar. Imagine if you didn't practice it and you had to go live on stage in front of people. Oh my gosh, right?
Definitely. It would never happen, definitely. Like,
No, no.
I remember that first stage experience. Like,
Hmm.
of course, my hands were shaking. I was just suddenly lost all my sight, my hearing. I'm like just going through the muscle memory. And I am pretty sure it wasn't up to standard. And people say, oh, that was good. And I start to realize that, well, maybe I can do it. Maybe I should
Yeah.
work on it. And it is going to be something that I enjoy truly.
Mm-hmm.
That was the
Yeah.
step. But
Yeah.
if I weren't really failed, or if I weren't really tried to uh, do something, I would be never able to play the guitar.
Right. And I think it goes back to, again, I'll use another example. I see a musician on stage, and if he didn't have the right mindset, when he messed up a riff or something,
Yes.
and he all of a sudden said, show's over. I messed up.
Yes.
I'm a failure. Then
That would
everybody would be like, what the heck? You know?
exactly.
Right. So you got to be able to just keep moving on. Right. I love it. I love
You,
it.
just because one failure happened to you doesn't define what it is going to be your success.
Exactly.
It can only help you if you have that right mindset, meaning that
Yeah.
it's going to help you to build better skill sets, better you, and it is going to let you know where you are. And
Yeah.
those are little milestones. We always, I think that's interesting. We always create the milestones with the success, but
Yeah.
we forget the failures as well. Like,
Yeah.
where did I fail? That's actually a milestone. So
Yeah.
that next time I can measure how far I go
Yeah.
depending on that failure.
There we go. I love it. I love it. Well, I tell you what, let's change scenery a little bit here. And what I mean by that is, like I said earlier, I wanted to give you an opportunity um, to share a little bit about this study because I'm actually kind of interested. Would you mind sharing just a little bit about that? I know it's not related to mindset, but that's okay. This is an opportunity. Let's learn a little bit more about you and
And I
kind of the work you do.
thank you so much, Val. I appreciate
Yeah.
it. Actually, that study is interesting because when we have this COVID-19 started, nobody, including like the governments, the agencies, institutions, we didn't know how long it is going to take and how we should tackle this.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, there are so many like plethora of different ways of looking at it. Some government says, you know what, we are not going to do anything. Some government says, here, close it, and we are just going to have the quarantines, and we are going to focus on how to contain this virus. But on the other hand, there are like so many others who were
Mm-hmm.
trying to do something different. And when we were looking at it, we realized that there are certain groups who are just left behind. But
Mm.
in the reality of the life, certain countries, certain governments said, you know what, these people are our people. Let's step in and try to help them.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the uh, starting point why we write that paper. We said, how did governments make that happen? How did they put their hand out
Mm-hmm.
there to just help others? What was the helping hand? How it is working for them? And we realized that they actually carry on what we were talking, mindset, the
Mm-hmm.
mindset of it is we as a society have to be better off so
Mm-hmm.
that we can actually come over this struggle. If only one group or the other is going to be successful, we are
Yeah.
just going to fall down. And what they did was they started having a state-owned enterprise working with a cross-sectoral private industry banking
Mm-hmm.
system, as well as the GSM systems like the communication.
Mm-hmm.
Create a scheme where they just said, you know what, if you are in this system
Mm-hmm.
as a low income citizen, if you prove it, we are just going to send you money through the institutional channels where you can see the transparency and everything and receive certain funds that is going to help you, because we understand that during the COVID-19 you lose your probably job,
Mm-hmm.
you are struggling, you may not be able to even leave the house, maybe you are an old person and living yourself,
Yeah.
and you may need some sort of support, and we are here for you. So it was the mentality that we were looking. How did they manage to do that?
Mm-hmm.
Different type of management, because government had two different options. Either they are going to ignore it or they are going to help it.
Right.
And once again, are you seeing this as an opportunity to bond yourself with your citizens, or
Mhm.
are you seeing this as a challenge to just go through it, whatever expense it is going to cost?
Mm-hmm.
And the right mindset in this way, I think, to helping everybody, and the government that we look into did
Mm-hmm.
great job.
Yeah. No, and I love how you're talking about the mindset because, as much as we don't give the governments around the world, the credit, they have to do the decision, whether it's right or wrong. They've got to make a decision to help the people. And please, people out there, I'm not getting into politics. We don't
Oh
talk
yeah,
politics. We don't talk
I didn't want
politics.
to mention any names or
Yeah,
anything.
exactly. No, no, no. And I just want people to realize we're just having a conversation because, I think that we have to remember that a mindset does come into play, regardless of who it is that has to make certain decisions. And
Mhm.
sometimes, again, the right definition may not be my view, may not be your view, but there is a definition that has to be met when it comes to a mindset, right? So it's solution based. And I think that's always what we should look at. So here's what I'd like to do. I'm going to go ahead and get ready and end our session for today. I loved having you on the show. I love having you as part of the series. You never know, maybe I'll have you back again because you're a great individual and a
Well,
great colleague. So I appreciate you. Um, if for those of you out there, if you haven't, don't forget, take the time to like our pages, regardless of what social media platform you're watching this on. If you're watching it on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe. So each time we have a new video coming, you're made aware. Um, Dr. R, I appreciate you today.
oh,
I
it was my pleasure. Thank you so much. And
Yes,
thanks for your
absolutely,
time.
absolutely. Well, we're going to go ahead and end. Everybody, you guys take care. Bless you.